Jesus, speaking to the crowds and to his disciples, said, "For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for one to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? What can a man give in exchange for his soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of him when he comes in his Father's glory with the holy angels." This is the gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Church may be seated. As we prepare our hearts for the good news and for the gospel, I ask that the church please welcome our preacher for today, Kent Van Dunk.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you all for coming. I know it's not always easy getting to church, especially on NFL opening day. Amen. But I appreciate y'all. Appreciate every one of you guys. It's weird coming back through these doors. This morning I walked to the front, and I was like, man, this tunnel got small. Or I got a little big or something. So thank you guys. Thank you for having me back. All right. So for those who try to save their life will lose it. But those who lose their life for him, for a life of truth, will save it. So my whole life, I've always known there's something more. I felt something inside me telling me there's something more. My whole life. I remember being a little guy and running around this church, causing mischief, looking at whatever we got ourselves into, me and Panky, doing whatever we could to get in trouble. And it was really fun. I always had fun. But I always knew there's something more. Got a little older, and my life became sports. You name it, basketball, soccer, baseball, football, you name it, swim team. My life became sports, and I always had so much fun. Playing those sports, but I always knew. And then the day I went home and think, man, there's something more. It's really fun, something more. Got a little older, and them sports, they were still there, but the college life took over. And I got a lot of buddies here who could testify. We've had some fun in college, haven't we? We've had some fun in college, meeting new people, girls, parties, learning, whatever, you name it. The college life took over. And I had so much fun in college, But I knew there was something more. In the day, I knew there was something more. And every once in a while, I let myself dream or think about it a little bit, And I would think, man, maybe I could do something with my life. Maybe I can, I don't know, write a book or something. Maybe I can start a church like my dad did, Maybe I could do something. And I would dream, I'd think about it. Yeah, I get really excited, and then I'd be filled with these doubts. That say something like, oh, Ken, you're not good enough. Someone else has already done it. Someone else is smarter. There's somebody else who's already written this down. Or, you name it. Any one of my ideas, I felt I'm not good enough to do it. And so I'd pick up another beer. I'd pick up the basketball again, have some more fun. And I loved it. I was having fun. I've always known there was something more than just the fun life. But years of these doubts and selfish living nearly buried it alive. So I've never really been believe in something just because I'm told to kind of guy. If I believe in something, it's because I've studied it or I've looked into it or experienced it for myself. I pride myself on that. Let alone God, especially not God. No. How am I supposed to believe in something that I can't see? How am I supposed to put everything into this, to me, which is something that seems so impractical, so illogical? So I had these thoughts all growing up. And I don't know if any of y'all know my father, but he's a pretty big believer. My mom's right there with him. So I grew up in a Christian household, in a Christian church. And I was taught to believe. And I think that's what many of my peers struggle with today. I've always struggled with this. How can two of the most inspiring people in my life, my parents, devote their lives to something that to me seems so illogical, so impractical? How can they do this? I think that's what a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers are struggling with. This battle between practical, logical thinking and this faith we're supposed to have. You know, it just doesn't make sense sometimes. So along the way, I was always told, especially from my father, all right, Kent, you wanna believe in this? You wanna experience it yourself? Pick up the Bible. Well, to a young, free spirit, fast-paced living guy, I'm not gonna sit at home and read the Bible. Sit at home and read the Bible or go have a beer with my boys. You telling me? No. So I never did it. Never did it. And a year ago, about 13 months ago today, I was blessed with the opportunity to be put in a young adults global mission program in Cuernavaca, Mexico. It's a year program. And for the first time in my life, I was alone. First time in my life, I was alone. No best friend, no girlfriend. No one really there. I thought I knew Spanish. I ain't know Spanish. Yeah, I'll get there trying. No, didn't know Spanish. So I was alone, y'all. And for anyone who's ever been alone or let themselves really be alone, like I'm talking not sitting at home listening to music or watching a Packer game or, ESPN's. I'm talking really alone and you're just there with yourself. Really by yourself. You realize you can't run from yourself any longer. You can't run from yourself. And so I came to these thoughts, and I realized I had been running from myself for a long time. And I realized I was not proud of who I was. I wasn't. Yeah, I had many great adventures, many great stories, many great friends. I've been here, done that, whatever. All these good things to talk about. But I wasn't proud of who I was inside. And so I felt lost. I felt lost. And I was like, okay, so I'm not proud of who I am. But who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And I didn't know. I was looking around. What is more to life than having fun? I didn't know. So luckily, I got a dad who pushed me in the right direction. He says, Kent, all right, you're alone right now. Pick up that Bible. You got no more excuses. I know you're lonely. Pick up that Bible. Okay. All right, Paul, I'll do it. I'll try it out. One little try. So I pick up the Bible. I'm in Mexico, and I pick up this Bible. And if I do something, I'm going to do it 100%. So I said, all right, I'm going to get every bit of truth out this Bible. So I started page 1, chapter 1, Genesis 1, creation, let's go. And I'm going to say, I'm going to read this whole thing through. I'm going to get every bit of truth I can out of this thing. Well, I open that thing, and I start reading. And then 2.5 hours later, I wake up. I had fallen asleep. I mean, no offense to any of y'all Old Testament fans out there, but to a young, fast-paced, free spirit living guy, it wasn't floating my boat. All them long rules, long names, you name it, wasn't floating my boat. So, but I put time into it. I put time, and spent a few weeks in this Old Testament. Got like 200 pages in, and I'm like, man, I don't know what my dad's talking about, but this is whack. I'm sorry again, but it wasn't feeling me. I wasn't feeling it. And I felt lost again, so I started looking elsewhere for these answers. I was looking for who do I want to be. And I was emailing my buddy, actually, and he sent me an email, said, oh, you ain't liking the Bible? And I'm like, no, man, not at all. And he's like, dog, start in the New Testament. And I'm like, all right, one more chance, and that's it. Then I'm done with this whole church thing. So I pick up the Bible again, and I get to the New Testament. My homeboy Matthew, open the Bible, get the homeboy Matthew, and I get to the nativity scene, I remember being a little kid, birth of Christ, walking up here, being Joseph or whatever, I had some good memories. And then I got to the death of John, and I was like, all right, we got some action in this, we got something going. And then Jesus started preaching. And I'll never forget, I came across Matthew 4:19. And it's when Jesus first starts, and he says, come along with me, and I will show you how to fish for the souls of men. And something sparked up in me. I was like, ooh, okay, fish for souls of men. I kind of like that. Let me try some more. In chapter 5, he says, humble men are very fortunate, and happy are those who long to be just and good, for they shall become completely satisfied. Happy are those who are just and good because they become completely satisfied. That's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be completely satisfied. I was lost. I wanted to fill this void I felt in my life. So I kept on going. I was getting pretty excited, So I kept on going. And I came across things like, don't resist violence by eye for an eye. Turn the other cheek. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Give mercy to all. If you love those who love you, what good is that? If you only are friendly to your friends, what good is that? Don't do good deeds to be publicly admired. Do good deeds with your right hand so not even your left hand knows. And I'm telling you, I was going crazy. I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to be the best person I could be. That's who I want to be. I want to be the best person I could be. And I felt great. I was on fire. I kept on reading, I kept on writing. I was doing everything right. And I was feeling really good. And I wanted to just tell everybody about it. And then so it was pretty late that night. So I had work the next day. So I went to sleep. I was feeling so good. I was so ready to go to work the next day and be the best person I could be. Wake up. And I was teaching in school. So I wake up. I'm really excited still. And I go to school. I'm like, I'm going to change. I'm a changed man. And I go to school. And 8 hours later, I come home. And I ain't changed nothing. I didn't change nothing. And I realized that if I'm going to be this change I want to see, if I'm going to live this, be the person I want to be, I need to put hard work into it. So this time in Mexico, I was working at a school, I told you guys. I was in a pretty impoverished neighborhood in Cuernavaca, Mexico. And we would do weird things. We would cook for the kids, but we had to do the dishes and clean the bathrooms and all that stuff I didn't expect to do. And I did it for the first few months. I was putting hard work in. I was doing it. And then I realized I was getting no love. I was getting no attention for it. I was getting no awards, no nothing. I was just working hard for no reason, I felt. And so for a while there, I lost motivation. I did. I lost motivation. And then after reading this New Testament, what Jesus had to say, I started applying these things in my life. I'm okay, so I'm going to, every area of my life that I can think about, I'm going to see what way I could be better. What way can I apply this truth that I know? And I did. I started seeing a change. It took slow. At first, it was within me. And then I started seeing people around me. Like, yeah, love your enemy. I didn't like a lot of people I worked with, but I started loving on them. At least I tried. And I started getting that love back. And then everything just kept on going. I started changing. I started seeing this change in me. I was no longer living for just me. I wanted to serve my fellow man, and I felt great about it. I wasn't doing the hard work or whatever for any rewards, not for any kind of thank yous. But it's because of the right thing to do. I realized for the greater part of my life, I had been living selfishly. I was doing things for me, only for me. I realized my life was about me. Do good things so somewhere along the lines I'd be benefited. Be nice to people so they'd be nice to me back. Almost all of my actions were done so somewhere along the lines I'd be getting attention so I would be the man. And I realized there's a deeper way to live, and Jesus was helping bring that to light. So we got Jesus here, this amazing example. This amazing example. You don't got to be religious. I'm not telling you, but Jesus is an amazing example of a way to live in this world. A man who gave mercy to all, and no one gave mercy to him. And that's what we are to do. We're to give mercy to all unconditionally without expecting anything in return, just because it's right. So my whole life, I thought having this faith meant believing in something magical or something surreal or something like a fairy tale or something. I thought in order to live for more, to make a difference in this world, we had to be successful, we had to have an amazing talent, we had to be really rich, or be a born genius or something. But that's not true at all. And Jesus helped rid me of that doubt. He showed me that every person in this room, every one of my boys, every person can live for something more, can make a difference. And that is not based on talent or skills or connections or opportunities. Yeah, those things help. I'm not going to let those things help. But it's not the point. It's based on looking within you, taking the time to look within you, and ask yourself, who do I want to be? How can I live that I'll be proud of myself? And then being the change you want to see. Taking the time to ask yourself, am I living as the great example Jesus Christ lived? Am I doing this? Am I shouldering my cross? and living for the truths of love, the truths of peace, of justice, of mercy, of forgiveness, of honesty, of honor, of hospitality, of courage, of freedom, of equality, of strength in the face of fear, of having an open mind and open heart and believing and standing for those truths unconditionally without asking for anything in return. Am I doing this? Am I living this way? Are y'all living this way? If not, and every day's a battle. Every day's a battle. But if not, in which none of us are perfect. So I'm assuming we can all change something. We can all change something. Having the courage to be alone, to face yourself, and to live for that truth and that change, and being the change you want to see. So I tell you, if you ever felt that void in your life, just even a little bit, like maybe there's something more out there. I'm telling you there isn't. It's in the New Testament. You don't got to be religious. I'm not preaching you to be a religious. I'm saying just read it and see it for yourself. For those who try to save their life shall lose it. But those who lose their life for him, for his example of living a life of truth, will save it. Let us pray, y'all. Lord be with you. God, if you are out there, continue to show me signs, and I will try my hardest to not be stubborn. I open my eyes and my heart to receive you. God, help me be the change I want to see in this world, to live the truths that I have been blessed to know. May God give us the courage to be alone and think about these things. Turn off the sports center, turn off the pack game for a little bit, turn off my iPhone, and let me think, who do I want to be? May God bless us with the discomfort at easy answers, of half-truths, of superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless us with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that we may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless us with tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and turn their pain to joy. And may God bless us with enough foolishness. May God bless us with enough foolishness to believe that we can make a difference in this world, so that we can do what others can say cannot be done. Amen.